Om Sri Sai Ram, Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha, Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Today, in the satsang, we are going to continue talking about, learning about Sai's teachings from Saisatcharita. Usually when we do Parayana of Saisatcharita, the 16th and the 17th chapters are combined together in the Saisatcharita that we read. But originally, Hemad Pant wrote them differently. Like 16th chapter is different and 17th chapter is different. But both of them are a continuation of each one of them. So that's why for our convenience and for a better understanding, these chapters are combined in the Satcharitas that we read. They both teach about the crucial and the most important thing that all humans have to walk towards and learn and practice, that is called Brahma Jnana. This is the ultimate goal of human life. This is what Baba taught us in the chapter 8. What is the goal of human life? How do we need to conduct ourselves? All these things were taught by Baba in the chapter 8. So now, after 8 chapters and the 16th chapter, he is giving the essence and the bullet points of this crucial goal of human life. To achieve this one, if you want to achieve anything, you need to practice that. You need to get perfection in that. Without that, nobody can achieve that kind of goal. We all know that. In a similar way, this so-called Brahma Jnana, that means attaining the moksha while in this body, while you are living in the flesh, you need to practice some of the stuff. You need to get rid of some of the stuff that we are used to. So that is called the sadhana chatustaya. The sadhana chatustaya is divided into 4. That's why it's called chatustaya. What are those 4? The first one is called nitya anitya vastu viveka. That means, it's in plain and simple terms, understanding what is real, what is not real. It doesn't mean that they're not existing. For example, when we change jobs, when we go through certain problems in life, and we feel that particular day or in that particular job, that is the end of our life. Because the problem was so intense that we feel we have no way out. But we've seen over the time that passes through. And then after a few days, some other new problem comes. So then what we do? That old problem that we had, where we felt no way out, was gone. And now you're feeling the new problem. So by going through this, by thinking about this in your life, then you can understand that nothing is permanent. So today's problem may not be the problem after a few days. So that is called, understanding this is called nitya anitya vastu viveka. In a similar way, in Vedantic terms, what you go through life, the pleasures, pains, and all these things, the kids, the spouses, the family, the work, all these things, when somebody dies, nothing exists. So that is the unreality that the Vedanta talks about. So once we understand this unreality, it's easier to be happier in your life. And then the Vairagya is the next one. Vairagya means whatever you want to achieve, the goal that you want to achieve, you need to restrict yourself from distractions. So, whatever the goal is, you want to work towards that. Whatever you do, it has to help you to achieve that goal. That is real Vairagya. It doesn't mean that you give up all the things in your life. Okay? So the third one is called Samadhamadi Shat Sampatti. That means the main, we can talk about this in length, but that's another time for the satsang. But today, all we need to know is that to achieve our goal, we need to focus. To focus, we need to only pay attention to how we behave, like what kind of things will distract us through our mind, how to control that mind, and then keeping yourself balanced and believing in what you want to achieve. And that balance is the most important thing. All this is included in this third Samadhamadishat Sampatti. And then Mumukshatva is like that you want to achieve that final goal of your life, that is called moksha. But even if you take regular routine life, whatever you want to achieve, that is the goal of your that particular moment. So you need to have a strong desire to achieve it. You just don't want to do it because other people are doing, because that's the routine that the community follows. Then your determination will be diluted. So you don't have the full capacity that you can thrust upon. That is called mumukshatva. So these are the four that people need to practice to achieve any goal. You can apply this to your life in any aspect. So once you have these four in your inside, then the Guru will show his grace upon you. And then with this strong dispassion, desire for the goal of life, the whatever knowledge you learned so far will be given to you by Guru as an enlightening kind of knowledge. So with that, you expand your horizons, you expand your thinking, and that will give you a broader perspective in life. And Guru is the ultimate provider of the happiness and bliss. Guru always surprises us by giving what our mind does not expect. And we have to remember that only through Guru we can achieve this so-called ultimate bliss or self-realization. So when we come back to our story in the 16th and 17th chapter, there was a rich gentleman who had everything in his life, and finally one of his friends tells him that, hey, there is something called Brahma Jnana, Atma Jnana. If you get that, you will be ultimately happy in your life. So this person thought that, I achieved a lot of things in my life, I have everything, so who can give me that? So somebody tells him to go to Shirdi and Baba will give you this. And then so he packed up his stuff and then thought that let's go to Baba and get this ultimate happiness called Brahma Jnana. So he comes to Baba and then asks him, and Baba, everybody told me that you are the one, and you please give me Brahma Jnana. And Baba told him that he's very happy to do that because people come here to ask me for material things, whereas you're asking me for the ultimate thing that I want to always give it to people. So I'm so happy that to see you here. So then what Baba does is he played a funny kind of thing, but it's a crucial and very important thing to learn. Baba sends a boy to borrow 5 rupees from a shopkeeper, and then this boy goes and then comes back. The shopkeeper is not there. Baba knows that whoever he's sending to, they're not home, they're not there. So this boy goes back and forth, and comes back and says that they're not there. So Baba was feeling that, oh, I wanted 5 rupees and these people are not around, available. And this man is listening to all this, but he didn't think that he should give this 5 rupees to Baba. All he wanted was that, just give me Brahma Jnana. So Baba wanted to teach a lesson to this rich man, because to achieve the Brahma Jnana, you need to get rid of some of the things. So what was he trying to get rid of here? This rich man was greedy. So, but anyhow, we can read this story in the Saisatcharita, what happens with this. So Baba was asking for 5 rupees. At that time, I mean, like once he's done with this Leela, then he starts preaching. He gave a discourse on this. What is this 5 rupees signifies? Baba explains this. To see Brahman, one has to give 5 things, or one has to correct these 5 things. Surrendering these 5 things are very important. What are those 5 pranas? Because those are the pranas that we have in our body. This is a microcosm of bigger universe. The prana, apana, samana, vyana, and udana. These are the vital forces of the body. They are the reason why we breathe, we digest food, the blood circulation, and we eliminate whatever we eat, whatever we drink. These are the vital forces that help us to survive. And the 5 senses, the second one, what are those? There are 5 sense organs of perception and 5 organs of action. These are the 10 put together, there are 5 senses. And then the third one is mind, and the fourth one is intellect, that is buddhi, and 5 is ego, that is ahankara. So these are the 5 that Baba wanted, because anybody who wants to achieve, even in the routine life, when you are angry, when you are unable to control your the life forces, it's kind of difficult to control the mind. So it's important to breathe right. It's important to breathe the correct air, and then it's important to eat correctly also. Like that, I mean, it's important to have a routine for the body, because out of the routine, body will get sick. In a similar way, whatever we perceive, with the organs of sensory organs, is very important. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, all those things play a big role in controlling your mind. Mind is the central point, whereas the buddhi, intellect, whether you use your buddhi to control the mind or not, to do good things or not to do good things, to do bad things or not to do bad things. And then the mind is ultimately influenced by the ego. So like that, I mean, all these 5 are so important to balance our lives. So finally, let us understand a little bit about this, why this person came, and through this person, what is that Baba is trying to teach us. It's one thing to understand what is Brahma Jnana, what is Brahman, what is the universal consciousness. But at the same time, it's important to apply the same principle every day, every moment of our lives. So now let us see what is Brahman means. Brahma Jnana means knowing about Brahman. The knowledge about Brahman is Brahma Jnana. So what is Brahman? Brahman is the truth, the absolute, the reality. That is what exists in the past, present, and future, and it has no beginning, middle, and end. And this is unchanging and not conditioned by the time, space, causation, and it exists in all states of our human body, the waking stage, dream stage, and deep sleep also. So this doesn't change, and this is the absolute core of this universe. So whatever we see outside, it's called Prakriti, the feminine aspect of this Brahman. So each person has this inner soul, which is the male kind of counterpart kind of thing, and the feminine aspect is this body, that is Prakriti. So Gnana, that is knowledge, should be developed through a deep study of Atma Gnana. And where can we learn this? We have to learn through Guru, we can learn through our sastras, scriptures, and we need to go through the satsang. Otherwise, it's kind of difficult to understand. We can read, but somebody has to explain who walked through this path. This is why the human being, every human being, needs to think about all the time that what is the reality in life. If you, whatever situation you are going through, what is real, what is not real? What is the problem today? Is it going to be there after a couple of days? Like that, we have to think about that nitya anitya vastu viveka. So now that we saw this Brahman, the other thing is to understand in a simple language. If you take seawater and you see in the seawater, you see waves, you see the drops, okay, and then you see bubbles, you see white froth. All these things are part of the water, but water is the Brahman. These bubbles, waves, all these are like Prakriti and people, birth, death, all kinds of things. But the water never changes, it's there. In a similar way, another example is that there is electricity. The fan revolves. Through the electricity we get the TV. Through the electricity we get heat. Through the electricity we get cold. And we can't just say that God is a light because it's glowing, and we have to see the electricity behind it. So that is Brahman. The electricity is Brahman. The light that we see is, we worship God in the form of a deity, or in the form of a murti, that is just a light, but the energy behind it is the Brahman. So what are the qualifications to attain this so-called Brahma Jnana? What do we need? We talked about sadhana chatustaya before, but the mumuksha is the first thing that you need to understand, that there is such thing called the moksha. So once understanding that, you really want that. That is called mumuksha. And then the virakti, second one, a feeling of dispassion towards the worldly things, because to focus and to achieve a goal, you need to minimize the other distractions. And then because it has to do with your mind, ego, and inside how you perceive your world. For example, you see a wall which is colored white, and then say you're wearing red glasses, you see a red wall there. If you're wearing a blue glasses, you see a blue wall. So this glasses that you wear all the time to see what is outside is influencing you. So if you take off those glasses, that means going inside you, really looking through your controlled mind, real mind, then you will see really good. That is called introversion. That means you have to understand yourself, what is your pattern, how you conduct yourself, how you see things, how you get upset. All these things are so important. And then the fourth one is catharsis, purging away the past sins, whatever we did, because those things that we did in the either past lives or this life will give you some impressions like prints. So those prints will influence your ego and your buddhi and then your mind. So we need to get away from the wickedness, wrong things, those kind of things, because wrong things means they disturb the balance in the life. So if you put a stone in the water which is not moving, then you get waves. I mean, putting the stone is just a momentary thing, but the waves exist after a long time. So we have to remember that. So we have to be careful in putting the stones in our peaceful mind. And then the right conduct, how do we conduct ourselves? And then we have to lead the life of truth, penance, and with a good insight, understanding. Insight means understanding what is real, how it works. So leading the right life is the most important thing. And then we have to prefer what is good for us, not just what gives us pleasure. So these are called Shreyas and Preyas. Shreya means what is the best thing for us. Preyas means what we enjoy, what we like. So all the things that we like may not be good for us. So we need to remember that. The wise man always prefers the good over the pleasant, but the unwise, through greed and attachment, chooses the pleasant. And this gives a lot of impressions, and they go along the wrong pathway. So we have to be careful in choosing what is right for us. Because the community is doing that, it doesn't mean it's always right. Because 10 people are doing that, that means it's not right. You have to think about your balance. You have to think about your situation. What is real? What is not real? What is the right thing to do? So the seventh one is the control of the mind and the senses. Like in our sastras, they say that mind is very important because it's so fluid that it goes in any direction, any way, and it pulls you sometimes in different directions. For example, if we think body as the chariot and the self is its master, intellect is the charioteer, and the mind is the reins, and the senses are the horses, and the sense objects are their paths. So this way, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna compares a human body, mind, and everything, and senses put together as a chariot and a charioteer, and how the horses run, all this thing. So if we don't have any understanding of the mind, how we think, and how this is influencing us, how can we restrain our mind? Then the mind goes in different directions. It's kind of difficult to bring it back. And the senses are going to be unmanageable. And these vicious horses of a charioteer does not reach the destination, that is getting the realization. And goes through round and round, round and round. That means birth, death, like that. So understanding the mind, going antarmukha is very crucial. So that's why controlling the mind and controlling the senses are important and put together as the seventh one. And the eighth one is the purification of the mind. Once we understand what is mind, how it is controlling the senses and all that, then we have to purify it. How do we purify it? The purification is that not allowing distractions is the first thing. And the viveka, that means understanding what is real, what is not real, what is permanent, what is not permanent. You have to understand that. And providing a little bit of vairagya, that means whatever you want to do, you need to eliminate and minimize the distractions. That is called vairagya. So, and then ego has to be dropped. Me, mine kind of feeling is the one which makes us go in the wrong path all the time. When your mind is broader, when you accept as a universal kind of thing, then your thinking expands. So this could be by an example we can talk about, like say for example, if you're working in an office, your job is to take care of certain duties that day and then you leave home. Whereas your manager will control or will manage like 10 people in your department. And then there are 3 or 4 managers who are controlling the whole other departments. And then there is a CEO who manages the whole company, wants all kinds of things, whereas this duty person, one person will think about only his job. The manager will think about 10 people. The CEO thinks about how he can put this company together. His mind is much broader, and then he has to interact with the outside to maintain this company. And he has to think about the future of the company too. In a similar way, in a family also, the head of the family thinks differently than a single person. So like that, you have to purify with a broader mind, and you have to think about the higher value of the life. And then in the end, one of the most important things are like the need of a guru in our life. Well, who is a guru? Guru means to achieve that goal, we want somebody who has the experience, who walked the path, who can direct us, who can guide us through this process. So this knowledge of self is so subtle and it's so mystic. It's kind of difficult to comprehend sometimes, understand sometimes. So that's why our individual effort sometimes may not be enough. We need some kind of guidance to understand this. So we need to be with the people who are walking this path. We need to rely on our guru also. What others cannot give with great labor and pains can be easily gained with the help of such a teacher. We need to understand that. And the last step in this is the Lord's grace is the most essential thing. The Lord means the ultimate God that we call, the ultimate universal energy, or Narayana, whatever you call the ultimate Lord. That Lord is pleased with anybody who has this viveka, vairagya, trying to control their senses, trying to control their mind, walking the path, definitely will be satisfied with your practice, sadhana chatushtaya and all this, and your intense desire. So then ultimately, when you are going through this, definitely God's grace will be showered upon you. The self cannot be gained by the study of Vedas or by intellect. He who, the self, whom the self chooses, okay, by him it is gained. This is the word that Kathopanishad talks about. That means whenever the self chooses you, you will get it. It's not that you choose the self. Okay? So mind just simply cannot get it. You just have to immerse yourself in that. And then self will choose you. This is what Kathopanishad talks about. This is what also Baba talks about. So in summary, what is Baba trying to teach through this man? And this man was full of materialistic um, objects in his life and full of egoism, who always thinking about these sense objects. So for him to understand this greed is not going to take him anywhere. Purification of the mind is absolutely necessary. Without that, you cannot go forward. Baba, during this discourse, he said these following words. I'm just going to quote them. My treasury is full, and I can give anyone what he wants, but I have to see whether he is qualified to receive my gift. If you listen to me carefully, you will be certainly benefited. While sitting in this masjid, I never speak untruth. So here Baba is trying to tell us that we need to be qualified to receive what he wants to give. It's not just materialistic kind of thing with the greed that we run around. We need to be open. We need to practice what Baba taught. We need to live the life of what his teachings are about. In the stormy waters of hope, there are whirlpools of sun, wife, friends, crocodiles of passion, rage, and sharks in the form of various diseases. So in this way, Hemad Pant describes this chapter in the end so beautifully, that what kind of distractions we have in our life. I mean, if we perform our duties, they're not distractions. But if we have expectations, then they become distractions. Sometimes there is a temporary aversion for hours together, there is a mental conflict, an eruption, but the bond cannot be broken. We need to really teach our mind that we ourselves are pure Brahman. We are the soul. But you are bound to the body like a parrot, clinging to the bar which goes around rotating. And we have been lured by illusions, temptations. So like this, Hemad Pant describes from the Vedanta also. Delusion creates more delusion, and illusion about bodily pride takes place. So we need to understand this concept of I, me, mine, and these are like a mirage. They appear to be there, but they're not really there. So we need to detach ourselves from this feeling of mine and expand our thinking in a broader way. When there is liberty, that means we also have that bondage we think about. Bondage is accompanied by the liberty all the time. Ignoring both these conditions, we need to live in pursuit of our happiness, the ultimate happiness, in the form of the pure spirit within us. Of course, this is subject to knowledge. Happiness and misery is total ignorance. Therefore, abandon that knowledge and acquire true knowledge, which is the knowledge of the Brahman, and that is within us. The path of knowledge of Brahman is very difficult. It's not easy to follow for all. But when the time is ripe, when we practice all these things, what Baba teaching us, then and we will be qualified to gain that knowledge. And it can be attained flawlessly by the highest category of aspirants. But what happens is, if you're mediocre and follow the tradition bound, and if we are tradition bound, and we go stage by stage, one stage at a time. Okay, I want to stick to pujas, I want to stick to vratas, which are important, but you have to go further. That's what Baba is trying to teach us here. one has to turn inside and understand themselves. So then only it is possible. Without that self-control and discrimination, it's going to be tough to walk this path. So, but we're not going to be happy either in our lives. It's only through diligence and practice, and we have to work hard. Even one of the words Baba uses, your bones seem ready to disintegrate. That means, you have to work really hard to achieve anything in your life. When there is true knowledge of this Brahman, the Self, that person's entire nature becomes one with the universe, one with the Brahman. At such a state, such a stage, the whole universe burns down in the fire of this Brahman knowledge, and the world turns into ashes. That means Satchidananda Sthiti persists. So this is the whole essence of Brahman, Brahma Jnana, and how to be happy in our lives, how to achieve the ultimate goal of our human life. Beautifully put together in the 16th and 17th chapters of Saisatcharita. But we kind of talked briefly about this chapter. So please read in the big Satcharita also this 16th and 17th chapters, so that you can get showered by, or you can be showered by the grace of Baba, so that you can advance in your life in pursuit of this ultimate happiness. With this we will conclude today's satsang. Om Sri Sai Ram, Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha, Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha, Om Sri Sai Nadarpanamastu. Om Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai.